All right, hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to today's market check-in with myself, Greta Wall, I'm your host, and I'm joined by David Prince, the leader of T3 Live's Inner Circle virtual trading floor. David, how's your Thursday going so far today?
It's good. I'm tired. Got some sick kids and stuff like that, so I'm
Oh,
tired. But otherwise, I'm good.
bummer to hear. I hope they feel better soon and that you yourself do not get sick. All right. The topic of the day today is Amazon earnings. Should you buy? So let's talk about what's coming up. Amazon is reporting after the market closed today. It's the next Mag 7 name to report. Uh, Almost the last, but we still have Nvidia coming up in like 3 weeks. So we have some time till the final Mag 7 name. But Amazon is today, again, after the market close. I think their conference call, it's a 5 p.m. 5 p.m.
Probably five, if not five,
Yeah.
5:30, but I think
So
it's five.
results typically, though, right after the market closes. So these are the expectations from analysts: 187.2 billion in revenue, $1.40 on EPS, and the expected move is right under 6%. This is a look at how Amazon has performed since the last report. So definitely been a strong move higher and sitting at all-time highs recently. So been strong stock. We've talked several times about all kinds of different earnings names, and it's very much about where the name is pre the print on how you're feeling about that earnings
Yeah.
report. So what is your read on Amazon headed into tonight's
So
Amazon
it is one
earnings
of my
report?
favorites, right? It seems to be firing on all cylinders. The economy is holding up extremely well. So the obvious business, retail, which is not the driver, but should be strong, right? We know they've cut a ton of expenses from planes to warehouses, you name it. So they're much less fat than they used to be. So they can actually throw off a lot of cash flow. It's historically, even though the stock's higher, trading at close to its lowest. It's still its lowest valuation ever versus cash flow. So it's hard not to like it. The only thing that I'm not in love with is where the stock is pre the print. It's come a long way. So it might not pay call buyers because expected moves 13, 14. So I don't know if I'll take it. I've pondered it. I'm usually in the stock 80% of the time, but I haven't been in it the last few weeks. I've been focused elsewhere. And I frankly do not know whether I'll buy some calls, but I certainly don't think of it as an easy setup, strictly because the stock's up into the print. Not that different from what we saw with Meta, higher and then lower. These are two stocks that have done phenomenally well. Businesses are firing on all cylinders, and the stocks are basically telling you that ahead of time. So getting paid off of a big earnings report is tough. Now, if they kill it on AWS and give great guidance, then they could still pay call buyers. I'm kind of neutral here, but certainly love the company and would be a buyer of all dips and think, that they're really like they've cleaned up their act, right? Expenses, where they're focused, execution on retail, like getting regional deployment. And like you order something now, it's here in like 5 seconds. So all seems to be going great. It's just a tough print because of the success of the stock print price.
Mm, yeah, I mean, Amazon has definitely spoiled all of us. I many times can order something and have it in just like 3 hours. It's
Yeah,
makes waiting for shipping
unbelievable.
on a normal website hard. Your read on into earnings reports is always so good on what is the number that the street is so focused on for this report, and the number that
It's
you want to get your
AWS.
hands. Yeah,
Yeah,
AWS,
I mean,
just
more
all
than ever.
about the cloud.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because of Microsoft and because of
Hmm.
even Alphabet, now even more so, people are like, well, wait a second, can they buck the trend and still be strong? So
Hmm.
it's so much about that. Of course, then there'll be the whole what's CapEx and is it a friendly CapEx number to the NVIDIAs of the world or not?
Right.
But in terms of that stock performing well, like there's no way retail could kill it and be 10% above. Profit margins could be better than expected because they're notoriously small profit margins in internet retail for Amazon. Uh, but they could kill it, and AWS misses, and the stock's down 15, 20. So it really is cloud AWS.
All right. All right. Other news coming up this week. Tomorrow, we are getting the jobs report. It's Jobs Report Friday. The expectations are for a slowdown in growth to 169,000 jobs in January, with the unemployment rate unchanged at 4.1%. The next Fed meeting is not until mid March. So, this is not the last jobs report we'll get before the next Fed meeting. We'll get another one at the beginning of March as well for the month of February. Is this jobs report kind of just a market, unless there's some huge
I don't
crazy
think
surprise,
they
the market
ever
just kind
are
of
like,
shakes it off.
sometimes they don't matter because
Mhm.
we are now at, basically we're not going to get a cut in March. And if we are, it's going to be um, the summertime. So that's where we
Yeah.
are. And then all of a sudden, the JOLTS number was a bit more friendly. And we're starting to get some better news in terms of inflation and the jobs market being a little less uh, perfect. So my point here is you're getting rotation. It's important because if that rotation is to continue, if IWM is to have this breakout, right, above 230, what is it, the 100-day, and continue and test those highs up at 240, you better have a darn good number, meaning, not too strong on the NFP. So yeah, it's still relevant because where are we? We're sorry, the 50-day. So for IWM to keep going, you see more of this rotation into biotechs had, oddly enough, a couple strong days. You'll want to see that. Will it make or break the market? No, but could it further the rotation or curtail some of the rotation? Yes.
Do you feel like a jobs report Friday? One theme in the inner circle often is Lotto Fridays. You guys like to buy zero DTE puts and calls options on a Friday to just for some extra alpha on your week. Do you feel like a jobs report Friday gives you guys a little bit more opportunity on things like that because maybe it's a little more volatile or no?
Volatility helps, but truthfully, I wouldn't say normally it makes that much of a difference. As long as there's some volatility, it works.
Mhm.
And frankly, if the setup's there, it's great. Sometimes a Friday comes and there's four of them, and then
Yeah.
sometimes the Friday comes and there's zero. So
Mhm.
probably not, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I don't think it makes that much of a difference for Lottos.
Okay. I do want to get your opinion on something that's been kind of a talk in the market. A lot of people saying Palantir is just overvalued and people are shorting Palantir on valuation. So what would you say to people who are shorting a stock like Palantir with the strength it's at and saying, it's just too overvalued? I mean, often you're like, you can't just short a stock because you think it's overvalued. There has to be more to it.
Yeah,
So
I
what would
mean,
be your say to what would you say to
any
people like that?
successful hedge fund, that manages short-term money or big trader knows like that's just not how it's done. What I say is, listen, I tried to be that guy the first 10 years and think I was smart. Narrative is so powerful short-term. That's all that matters. That's how stocks like Tesla exist. That's how real crazy stuff like Meme and GME exists. But in terms of this conversation, Palantir is all about narrative. And narrative is so much stronger over the next 6 months to a year and the last 6 months than your valuation call. So I'd say if that's what you're doing, you better be running hundreds of millions of dollars and afford to add to your short when you're off 30, 40%. Because that's just not what's moving the stock, right? We've seen it. Like I remember most bullish I've been on Tesla in a long time was literally one, after that gross margin, but secondly, after Trump was elected. I was like, this is just so simple, right? The narrative is you need to own Tesla because of Trump. Well, right now you have that same sort of situation with Palantir. So no one cares about the value. Like no one buying it cares about it. And all the shorts keep getting squeezed. So I would say the guys who short off valuation without identifying a real top, unless they have a really big bank, I mean, millions upon millions of dollars, there's got to be a better way. It's just not smart. So it's, yeah, I see it with stocks. I just saw it with Kava. A bunch of people, I went long Kava, 111, 112, and everyone was telling me, listen, each store is now worth 50 million plus Tupac's original album signed by Jay-Z. Like it was just like absurd. Like they're just so dumb. It's so expensive. And I said, okay, well, I love it here because I think the best in breed names, except during COVID, except during rate tightening cycles, often stay expensive. And the only way to be a part of these is to be willing to bite the bullet. Well, that's Palantir, that's Kava, and that's a few other names. So I'd say valuation, you need to stick in your back pocket till it matters. When they miss a number, when growth slows, when there's a rate hike cycle, when there's another COVID event, then it'll matter. Right now, doesn't matter.
Hmm. All right, you mentioned Kava, and you had some really great thoughts for the inner circle about Kava earlier this week after you finally went to a Kava. Was it last weekend you went to
Yeah,
Kava
I
with
think it
your
was last
family?
weekend.
You said this stock is going to stay expensive because it works. The business works. So talk a little bit about your thoughts on Kava and where you see the trade now after having been to the restaurant.
I don't know if it's going all-time highs anytime soon because it's got to
Right.
absorb maybe a few quarters. But
Mhm.
what I see is, fast casual, people are used to sometimes making big money, although it's not tech and it's not AI, and you'd think it's not as exciting. Some of the biggest wins in the world have been via fast casual, right? Starbucks made people millions upon millions of dollars, and obviously Chipotle. We haven't had a company come across with this type of growth this early, with this, most importantly, same store sales growth, with people coming back and spending more money at this higher price point so you can get decent valuation that fits the healthy economy, or I should say the healthy consumer, because right now everything's about health, in a long time. So till they screw up, it's kind of hard to say you don't like it. Again, I get it. It's by all measures, it's an expensive stock. It's a dumb valuation. But where's the competition? By the way, 1 second. I'm just sorry. I'm going to trim some Tesla into 371, just a heads up. So by all, like, where else are you going to buy instead of Kava? Like what other company competes with it? And there's a certain amount of money that wants to own the next Chipotle, so they're going to own it. And the product is unbelievable. It tastes amazing. The footprint is just beginning. It's not like they're all over Europe and Saudi. This is like there's a million places in the US where they're not. They are really smart, so they're focused on digital to cut expenses down. They're focused already on catering. So it's just a good story. It's super expensive. One day it'll matter. Right now it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, myself objectively, I plan days with my girlfriends around
Do
whether
you?
or not we can go to Cava for lunch. We plan where we go because, whew, it's good. I love some Mediterranean food, so Cava
I
has
do
been a
too.
great
I'm a
option.
sucker for it. That's part of it.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about what you guys have been doing in the inner circle, you yourself in particular. Let's talk about Nvidia for the week and what you've been doing with the stock. This is a screenshot of your latest ad back on Monday around the 116s, but you were buying as low as the 113s on Monday. You sent out this tweet yesterday saying, remember when everyone screamed it's over and going to 92 way back on Monday? Everyone else was bearish and you were buying. You'd sent out these thoughts last night as well, saying NVIDIA 113 was special. It took some outside of the box thinking as the chart gave no indication it was time. But X timeline, CNBC valuation gave some hints. For someone like you, I always encourage traders to use charts, but also develop the whole package. I think this is a really important part of how you approach stocks because you're not just looking at the numbers on the chart and the pattern on the chart and buying or selling based on that. You are using a lot of that EQ that you've talked about a lot of times to influence where you're buying and selling. So talk about it with NVIDIA.
Well, you put a package together, and the package, like a thought package, and the thought package is, well, we're getting some good CapEx news, which overall to the fundamental picture of NVIDIA is solid, right? Because people are still going to need compute and need their chips because they're the best. Then you think, okay, the key to that are hyperscalers, and all the hyperscalers are not only not curtailing spend, they're spending more. Then you have the facts really start to bear out about what DeepSeek is and what it means. It might be not as simple as they spend $6 billion and can do things that other people spend hundreds of millions on. But these things take time. So between the fact that these things take time, that we have the CapEx spend going up, that we broke another low, right? So these kind of short-term day traders and fast money people, a lot of times, like you take out a low, they want out, right? You don't have an identifiable bottom. What I do is I say, okay, let's really think about this. Has the story changed? Do we have any proof it's changed? No. Do we have good news? Yes. Is the stock taking out anyone who's scared? Most likely, yes. We bounced off 117 to 125, then we come back to 116, then 127, and now again to 113. What are the odds that someone who's nervous that wants to sell are not out? And what I say is that we're really low. Everyone that wanted out is out. So are they just going to make me a nice little pretty picture and say, we're going to 100 so you can buy it? Because there was like a level at 98, but more importantly, big century mark. I'm like, are they going to do that? What are the odds? Look, it's trading under 30 times, growing well above that. The odds are probably zero. Could it happen down the road? Sure. But for right now, I got to own it. So I took that picture. I took everyone screaming at me on Twitter about how some guy at 92, another guy at 90, 50, basically everyone screaming the world is ending. And then this is always the best. The guys that know, right? Because I know nothing. Like, I don't pretend to. I just basically take educated guesses based on information I ascertain will help me, right? But then when you get the people who say, NVIDIA has topped and it is not bouncing until it goes to 90, that's usually my signal I got to buy more. And all those things came together, and I felt pretty damn sure that it would bounce there. And I remember saying, I hope it goes lower. I'll buy plenty more at 110. So that's that picture I talk about, not just looking at your chart and waiting for the level to say go, because we're all looking at the same charts.
Mm-hmm.
I did it today with a focused stock. I mean, everyone looking at one of my big winners today is a level that I, so to speak, cheated. I saw where everyone wants to buy it. So I paid $3 higher, thinking if we all want to buy it there, I don't know if it's going
to get there. Mm-hmm.
So that's just the way I trade. It helps.
You, with the NVIDIA, you just, you said there, I hope it goes lower. And that's something you do a lot in the inner circle. You'll buy something and you'll tell the room, say, hey guys, I hope this goes 5-10% lower. I'll be adding all the way down. Mm-hmm. What does it take for you mentally to buy into something and be able to say, I'm okay being down 5-10% more from here so I can buy more, versus wanting to catch the bottom right at your first buy?
I'm trying to think of a realistic answer. And you know what it is? It's that my biggest wins, where I've made the most money, are almost always like that. I mean, TEM recently went from 40 to 33 to 73. So over and over again in my career, the biggest opportunity have been where there's some fear and trying to catch the exact bottom is impossible. During the yen trade, that pre-market, I was buying NVIDIA at 97, and by the open, it was 91. And I kept buying, but it didn't feel great to be down 6 points between the pre-open and the open, right? That was sick. Oh, like 2 weeks later, I was selling above 130. So it's that through history, my greatest wins are not chasing momentum at highs in a stock that went up 100%, hoping for the next 100%, are buying the best stocks that have the best charts when they finally look a bit scary and the fundamentals haven't changed. It's one thing if the fundamentals change, but if they haven't changed, that's when to take advantage. Mm-hmm. So it's worked forever and ever. So I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah. All right. You mentioned TEM, and it's a winner for you guys in the inner circle over and over again over the past couple months. This is just a look at what you did so far this week with it. You were buying Tempest way back under 50 in, I think it was like mid-January was when I was looking at the screenshots, so like $47.
As low as 40. Our most recent buy, the cheapest we bought, it was like 47.
Right. But this Monday you were down to a trailer, but you weren't selling all. You were up, from 47 to 55, but instead of selling all of it up 8 points, you said, I'm going to hold a trailer. And then as you can see on the chart here, it just ran further from there. It's up like 30% over 16 points. A great move on that trailer. Something you guys do in the inner circle a lot. You, Kira, Rick, and I know many of the members of the room will take their profits and then hold a trailer, trim and trail, as you and I have discussed many times. Did you make more on the trailer here than you did on the original?
I came close. Just to clarify, like I think what happened, and honestly, I'm half asleep, but I think what happened is I had a little bit more than a trailer. Than pre-market, I guess it was Monday, it opened down like 7, right? But I came in with stock. So what I did is I bought the stock at 53 pre-market, if I'm correct. Literally by 10 o'clock, it was like 59, and I got down to a trailer, but still had stock from before then. Mm-hmm. Then I think it was the next day, I saw 66 pre-market, and I got down to a trailer and everything, just to make it clear. I think that was the function. It traded like 65 or 66 in the after hours one of those days. I don't know if it was Friday, Monday. And that's kind of the sequence. And I didn't sell any today. I actually bought some today, 65s and under.
All right. What's your current thesis on Tempest and the trade now?
kind of the perfect time, perfect place. CEO who's well known, who's had 4 or 5 other huge success stories, including companies like Groupon, who's really a bright guy and conveys well. Some of these guys, like you can talk to some of them and they're super bright. They're like almost like scientists, but they don't talk to the street well. And that influences how a stock like this moves. This guy's, excuse the expression, a player. He really presents well. He was on CNBC just a couple days ago. Anyhow, so I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of obviously that it fits what people are interested in now, which is AI, but more so, it's not about chips, right? It's about software and it's about healthcare. And what did they talk about first during the Stargate conference? First thing they talked about was healthcare. Now, some people are going to talk about a cute little company, RxRx, and a few other, but when they really think what fits that dynamic, there's one. It's like asking who the president is. It's just a very obvious answer. Right now, that's Tempest. And then, okay, it's kind of silly, but Kathy bought the stock and people love that. But more importantly, so did Pelosi, and they love that even more. So you put all that together and then say it's a real company that's going to be cash flow positive and not be like losing billions of dollars. You got a pretty special story. Finally, it's not far from highs and it's not the biggest of market caps. And there was a lockup and people were scared. It didn't trade well. So odds are they sold it a long time ago. So you have some loyal shareholders. So it's just a nice setup here. It's also gone up 100%. So as I told people, if you're buying at 70, you're kind of a schmuck. But there will be pullbacks. It's a volatile stock. There's one today, and those are the pullbacks to take advantage of. So I will continue to.
All right. CC from X. I guess I could say X instead of it's so still just want to say Twitter all the time.
Yeah, I still say Twitter. I don't care.
Yeah. They wants to know your thoughts on VRT.
Yeah. Kramer and a lot of people are like, okay, story's broken, power, and this one is going to 80. And sure enough, it's gone from 100 to 120. Here's what I think. You had a great opportunity. It's one of the best in that space. Should have been bought, frankly, when that DeepSeek news happened. Now it'll be about earnings and a settling and things like, I mean, basically VRT has 2 monster earnings reports ahead of it that are not its own. Amazon, CapEx, and NVIDIA. And I don't know how much people realize, like I was talking to a partner of mine who had a huge position in Hut, and which is a small little stock that no one would think like NVIDIA and Hut trade together. I'm like, NVIDIA will decide if this stock ever wants to go again. So much is predicated on clarity around what DeepSeek means, what the spending is. And that's the way I look at VRT. A lot is going to be like, did we really just get this whole DeepSeek thing wrong? And it turns out that their spend is just fine. You don't have to worry about a down year in 26. And power needs are as big or going to be even bigger. So I think Amazon, NVIDIA, obviously their earnings as well. Here, it's fine, but it just bounced off of $100. So I'm not the type of stock I'd buy. The pulled back, just to give some real context. 100, 200 day, 200, 100 day, like 117-ish seems an okay entry, and that I'd hope for a bit lower, but you just missed a 20% move in a fairly large company.
All right. That we've already gotten we've gotten a taste now of how the market feels and can react to Trump's tariffs and his decisions when it comes to trade and the impact it can have on the market. Of course, we've got the Mexico tariffs paused and the Canada tariffs paused. Definitely seems like those were just negotiating tools for the border security at this point. What's your read on the current market feel about the Trump administration?
My feel is, and I said this out loud, even had a buddy who manages a family office. Like I wrote on Twitter, I said, listen, we're going to be okay. This whole tariff thing, you have to kind of buy the tip. I wrote this before they came out. I said, we kind of become accustomed to it. And I had a fellow say, well, last time I was negotiating, if it really comes to fruition, it's going to be different. And he's a bright guy, so I didn't want to argue. I'm like, no, because he is negotiating, because he's not just going to tariff the world and not expect someone to cave in. There's a point to this, right? So I think you have to prepare ahead of time for these headlines and know till there's a blow up with a relationship or something that gets excessive that they're buys. Now, these aggressive dips, like Monday, is the first thing I did. Right, we were buying, right? Qs and Nvidia, something else. I don't know, but we're buyers right away Monday morning. So I think the market is very comfortable with this template. The economy is holding up. I'm more worried with the fact that earnings season is only blah. We've lost a lot of Mag 7, and without rotation into small caps, are financials going to just go up forever and save us? Is Palantir going to save the world? Can Reddit go to $1 million and save the market? So my point is, I think valuation and just an average earnings season might be as much an issue as tariffs. Tariffs are not worried about. It creates fear. It takes selling out of the market, meaning, you get those. The best thing you can get are buyers without sellers. When you create that fear and you get these down moves, a lot of people, sadly enough, that's when they sell. So on the way up, you have less selling, a la what just happened with the Qs, right? So I'm not too worried about that. What I'm more worried about is, hey, the market's expensive and we're losing some of the biggest names in terms of being decent earnings reports and charts.
All right. From YouTube, Elias wants to know your thoughts on Netflix on this breakout of consolidation. Is it looking good?
That's very short-term cute stuff, right? It's like consolidation since earnings for a week or two. Looks phenomenal. My partner Rick's been in it. I bought some calls the other day, went across 1,000 that went up like a quick 30-40% and sold them. Here's my issue. Do I want to buy it after it's already had the move? No. I want to buy it after it pulls back from a great earnings report, like we did. We bought calls when the stock was $9.50 to $9.55. Do I want to chase it here? No. Is it a good company? Does it own the space? Are they actually finding new areas of growth that a lot of people never envisioned, like live sports, that can take it to 1,100? Absolutely. But I'd rather buy it on a dip. And, it's had plenty. The other day, it broke out above 1,000 and the very same day hit 975. So Netflix is kind of wide and wild. I'd wait for a dip if it were me.
All right. Gabriel wants to know what you think about RKLB for a short-term move above 29.30. Is that Rocket Lab?
Everyone loves that name.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what they do. It's really one of the few companies in space that has real revenue, that is kind of the picks and shovels of the space. I'm not an expert in it, but it seems to be one of the winners. And if there's something to own in that space, that's the name. So I don't know enough to give. I just hate when people BS. I don't know enough to give a educated response, except to say it's a name people love, smart money's in it, and they actually have a real business. It's not like pie in the sky. We're going to space in 20 years and they might do revenue.
All right. Gaj wants to know DP.
Okay, then we're over these questions because we got to work. But go on.
I know. Well, how do you find, this is a good one to end on here. How do you find the edge when the market is so far up and Qs inspire in some sort of range?
Sure. That's actually the easiest question of the day. So I'm a big believer that real money is made underneath the hood. So right now the Qs are up 53. Tesla was down like 13 or 14 yesterday, today, and came close to a level I wanted to buy. So I bought it. And most of Inner Circle bought it at 363. It then bounced something like 6 points. Sold a lot because I said, I don't think it's bottomed yet. Sorry, neck hurts. And then after a pullback, it got much stronger than the market. I said, it looks like it might want to go. Maybe it is a bottom. So 366, I bought some. Regardless of what the market was doing, it was exhibiting certain behavior that offered opportunity, and we bought some, and it just hit 370. So I'm always looking underneath the hood. TEM, which was up like 15% yesterday, it was dumb. We were selling most of it because it was just like silly. Love the stock, but I mean, it went up in a straight line. Today, it's being sold and offered an opportunity to buy it. Yesterday, in a slightly down open, Snowflake went down 7 or 8 points, one of my favorite stocks. So I promptly bought it at 182. I literally sold some at 187, like, I don't know, 3 hours later. So how you make money is look underneath the hood and don't just stare at the SPY and the Qs, because that's not what it's about.
All right. Good stuff. All right, everyone who is with us live, if you'd like a chance to learn more from David and what he does and just a deeper look at the inner circle, we are hosting a free webinar next week, next Wednesday, February 12th, after the market close. So, screenshot from the room last week. Woke up to free money. Good day for sure. Thank you for all the guidance. Spot on. So, if you want a deeper look at how David gives the inner circle that kind of guidance for those kind of days, you can join us again next Wednesday, February 12th, 4:30 p.m. t3live.com/DP to sign up for that. Again, it is a free webinar, free event with David and myself, and you'll get some info on a special way to join David in the inner circle. David, thank you for doing this with me today, and
Thank
I'll
you
see
for
you
doing it.
next week.
Of course. All right. Have a great day, all.
You too.